Are there any Polar Express passengers in need of refreshment?
Santa Claus and ho ho ho.
Where's the Tylenol? Welcome to the party, pal.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Son of a nutcracker!
Papa Shisho. It's alright for me to do it because I'm older. And I'm senile.
I couldn't think of anything to return with. Maybe I'm the senile one.
And with that, welcome everyone to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, where this week we are jumping into our holiday Christmas season, I suppose, with It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. With me today we have...
Hello everybody, I'm one of your hosts, a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from New York City, you can find us over on all our socials that we have, such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blueski. We also have a LetterBoxd where we do all our average out numbers and graphs of whatever it is we have covered. We have visual side of things over on YouTube and Rumble. And we have audio platforms out there where you could be listening to right now, possibly.
All right, well put. And as stated, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. An interesting start, I think, to this season in particular. And I think we will start with our histories, starting with Sprinks.
Never heard of this movie, never seen it before until here for the podcast. First time.
All right, short and sweet and to the point. For a writer.
Heard of this movie before, haven't seen it before, first time for the podcast.
All right. My history, not that short. I've seen this maybe 5-6 times or so. Once for the podcast. It is a movie that I thought was a common Christmas movie because I grew up with it. I later found out it was not a common Christmas movie. And
Okay, when that happens.
the copy I had, which I didn't know, was a burned copy on DVD. So that kind of built in the idea that it was bigger, which will go more into the facts section. And I think that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a family film. It's not a tradition film, but hence only like 6 times. But that shall be it. Into the facts section. I could not find a box office. One reason being, it was not released in theaters. It was a made-for-TV film. And it has only been released on VHS. There's no DVD or Blu-ray releases, nothing like that. So you can only get it on VHS, and you could find it online. I watched this particular version on YouTube. Someone uploaded it. So yeah, that's the start of that. Jerry Marin, credited as Elf 3 in the pie fight sequence, portrayed the lead Lollipop Guild munchkin in The Wizard of Oz, who actually hands Dorothy the lollipop.
What a fact.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him, but kind of neat little crossover. That's a good amount of time since that movie to this.
I did think they sounded familiar, the elves, but I would never have pieced that together.
It's a 45-year difference. What an interesting number.
45 being significant?
That's how long Mike or Papa was a detective. 45 years.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. And the last fact I have, because there wasn't really many for this film, Mayflower Hotel, Rumble Myers, and other landmarks in the movie have been mostly demolished in some form or fashion. Some leave legacies, but a lot of the landmarks in this film no longer exist the way they once did. I did not dive deep into the fact. Found it on the internet, grain of salt, but I did at least look up Mayflower specifically, and that has been demolished.
It's a bit of a shame. But such is the way of,
2004.
of the hard city that is New York that never sleeps.
Yeah.
I guess... Did you think this was a more well-known movie before looking at the facts?
Um, no, I mean this movie I wanted to watch last year for the podcast. It didn't end up happening, and then once I threw it in the ring this year and it got picked, I looked it up and on Letterboxd, and I saw that there was hardly any reviews for it, and I'm like, wow, this is not a big movie. So I guess fairly recently found it out before the facts.
Okay.
I mean, you could have just talked to us about it. We would have told you the truth.
Well, Ryder, no
Doing
offense.
that right
There's a
now.
lot of movies I've seen you've never heard of before.
It's very
Actually,
true.
Ryder, that's
Yeah,
a fair point on you.
yeah, that's true.
All right. Any particular reason why you asked that, Springs?
Well, you brought up how you, in your history, that you thought it was a more well-known movie, and then in your facts, you were like, only on VHS. I only got 2 fun facts for it. Never theatrically released. It was made for TV. Like like all these like hit points that kind of make it seem smaller and smaller and smaller.
Oh yeah, it's small. It was just a TV special in 1984. It's pretty much a
No,
forgotten film at this
it's more
point.
than a special.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a miracle. And I guess nah, we'll just bring it up during the podcast. Never mind. So, anything else? I don't know if you have any connection to Mickey Rooney or anything. I don't know.
Do you know how old he was in this movie?
Younger than in Night at the Museum. I did not look
Yeah.
at his age.
Night at the Museum 3 was his last credited role.
Yeah, I did not look into that. Maybe I can run the math while we're
I
covering.
would guess, now if this was 84, Night at the Museum 3 was 2000 something.
13, 14 maybe?
It was 2013?
Maybe? I'm not.
I don't think for
how
the
you think it
Mummy.
is?
Sorry, for Night at the Museum 3, I don't think so. That seems like a much later film.
Wow, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, 2014.
Wow.
Wow, I can't believe I got that.
Well done.
So that would be an additional 30 years to whatever he is in this movie.
That's pretty wild. He looks old here.
Yeah, I was going to guess he's like 70s, but I don't think he's over 100 in Night at the Museum 3.
I don't think so.
Should have done the math.
He was born in 1920. Well, that's easy math. So he was 64 here.
And he died
63
at
depending on-
93.
He lived a full life.
All right. He didn't age much in those 30 years.
Not really.
I
All
guess
right,
not.
and I guess with that section, you guys ready to move on to the actual coverage?
Oh boy, am I ever.
Yeah, how old did you say he was in this one?
64,
64.
right? I mean, this came out in 84. He was born in 20. So that'd
He
be
was in his
64.
50s in Pete's Dragon?
Yeah, he doesn't look much older than that either. Huh?
That's
Or
wild.
younger than that.
That was in 1977.
There you go. I've never seen him young.
He stopped aging at like 48 and then just kept looking that way for the rest of his life.
I don't remember how young he is in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I didn't know he was in that. I haven't seen that. That is on my watch list.
Even
Alright,
I've seen
well,
Breakfast at
let's-
Tiffany's, which is
Oh wow.
yeah. That, to be fair, that's
Let's,
a far more famous one. So
Yeah, that's well more known than It Came Upon the Midnight Clear.
yeah.
Okay. This has a song too. You know.
Sure.
I
It's
didn't
like
say anything about song. I'm just saying people say Mickey Rooney. I don't think It Came Upon the Midnight Clear comes first in mind.
Right now, you guys will have that in mind now. And now it's cemented. Might not be your first thing to bring up.
No, I think Muppets 2011 would be above it.
All right, let's jump into the coverage. We are doing a 3-act structure. Act 1 consisting of the beginning to the end of the cab scene when they run away from the crime scene. And you can jump around anywhere within the act. And let's start it with Ryder.
I'll do, I guess, one of my favorite moments at the start of the film, which is uh, after Gramps. I call him Gramps, so in my notes I will be referring to him as Gramps. Once he has his heart attack, I like that once Robbie is like you have a point where he's walking to school and you see the truck go past with the siren. But he obviously is not running because he doesn't really correlate it to something's wrong yet until he rounds the corner. It was just a nice little bit to connect the world a little bit more, even though Robbie wasn't aware of what was going on.
Yeah,
Reminded me
and
of Barry Allen and his mom.
Hmm, is that from the show or the movie?
Well, not the show. The show does it very differently.
Because I haven't seen it. Wait, yes, I have the pilot.
Yeah.
Sorry,
We saw the
pilot
pilot,
season. We
yes.
covered that. Um, yeah, but to tack on to the initial point, I did like how he didn't run for it because I've seen stuff and I can't put my finger on it. But of similar scenes of an ambulance driving by and then they just run to chase it, thinking it's connected to them.
Yeah, they just
And
immediately
I always
assume
wonder
it's
why
connected
do
to
they
them.
assume it?
Yeah.
It could be anywhere in the neighborhood or anywhere they're at. So I do appreciate they didn't do that here.
Yeah. Once he
'Cause,
sees it outside of his house, he starts running. And even then he takes him a
yeah.
few seconds. I quite like that the delay reaction on it.
Now, in terms of reactions, I'll jump to my point of the mother. She took it quite well that he died. When she came out of the room, the crocodile tears. There was really nothing coming off of her. I think my least favorite acting in the film was her dad died and she didn't really get much.
Considering how much she's she plays okay, so the dad is in the antagonist role for large majority of the film, but she pushes back on him. So I kind of agree. I think we needed a bit more acting from her with regards to this.
Yeah, I don't know if it was direction or just her limitations as an actress. I don't really know her in anything else, but in this, I just didn't feel like her dad died.
Hmm.
Picked up a pattern with you, Crimson. And unfortunately, I
Oh,
don't have all the examples listed, but it
I usually
seems
don't like having patterns on me.
you have a strong opinion and critique on the reactions humans have upon seeing death.
Mm, guess it's
So I
fair.
feel like you've brought
In
up this
terms of a
point
movie,
before.
no, I recall us having that talk on something. I don't know what it was, but I think this one's more on the acting side and not the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess on that topic, do you agree that the acting wasn't great, or is it just that's how she felt in the scene?
I'll go with acting wasn't great because I could just say it's not acting. It's line delivery. She's just delivering lines on a page.
Okay.
She is not related to Mickey Rooney in any way, and she wants the audience to know that. That's how I felt.
I just met him 5 minutes ago on set. I don't have any connection to this man.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago I was getting his autograph and praising for all the work he's done, and now I'm supposed to pretend he's dead. Yeah.
I don't.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't hate her acting, so I guess I'm not going that far. But I think she's definitely not impressive as an actress.
Poking some fun, but I do think that is the worst bit of acting in the movie. All right. Sprinks, you got a point?
Yeah, I'll counter the one Ryder had about Robbie coming home. Um, I don't find it fully believable being in California of all the kids going out of the school and not going on a bus, but coming out of the school to go home. And Robbie and his friend, I think Scotty, are the only two kids walking through the neighborhood who split up, and Robbie's not home yet, or Scotty's not home yet, and there's no kids behind them. It makes me, it feels weird that in this neighborhood, or large neighborhood, since it spans and Robbie's still walking home, that there's no other kids in this place that go to that school district.
Well, did we see him get off any bus or anything? I don't recall. It's just them walking down the
No,
street, right?
no, just walking down the street.
So
walking
I
away
guess
from the school and walking down.
anecdotal stuff for me. When I got off my bus, and this is the bus with use ranks, I was by myself walking home.
Well, you rode the wrong bus
It also
for a
wasn't that
reason.
far. It wasn't that far. And even in my real bus, um, once I got to the road leading to my house, it was just me. Or in certain circumstances, me and my sister. But it really depends on how far they are from where the bus stop was. Because the further you are from the bus stop, the less likely you're going to have
I don't think
other
they rode a
kids.
bus.
That's even more of a point. I think they'd be separated from other kids. They could have hung out at school and talked a while, and then went home.
They could have if they didn't show them leaving the school with all the other kids.
Yeah, and they could have talked with each other on the way home, and naturally,
They did.
talking
Yeah.
and walking is slower than just walking. Some kids could have skipped and run to
I
home. There's a lot of variables
I wouldn't be
here.
bringing it up if they got to one of the other's houses before splitting up.
So like if they parted ways at like Scotty's house, like Scotty's house was
Yeah,
closer, and then he went out by himself.
or Robbie's house or something. Yeah,
I guess I just don't see why that would matter. Because right now, this would be the splitting point of their roads.
because then it shows beforehand that people are actually splitting up and going to their houses, which are beforehand, and showing that Robbie just lives the farthest in this direction from the school, versus showing that this whole neighborhood only has 2 kids that attend the school.
I mean, you don't know how far his friend had to go to get home.
I don't. He had to turn,
His
but I
friend could have
see
been further.
that's true, but I see how long the road is behind them before they split up. And then Robbie turns the corner and his house isn't on the turn. It cuts to a different shot of him turning around. So it's even further than that shot shows.
Well, and school districts or schools aren't just one neighborhood. They are branched out to other neighborhoods.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
not like there'd be
I
an
get that.
army of kids here.
I don't
And
think Robbie is
everything.
possibly the kid who lives the furthest from the school. That's not what I'm trying to say.
My base understanding of your criticism here, Springs, is that the world feels empty because there's a lack of, uh, I guess, other kids behind them or around them as they go home.
Yes.
Okay. I guess my stance on it is I like the variables for it.
I like
But
variables
I have
for it.
too many variables, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess too many variables. Yeah. I mean, my bit on this is, I used to go to a California primary school, so, um, I lived within, I want to say, 3, 4 blocks from my school. By the time I got home, the kids were pretty dispersed enough to where there was like one other kid that was with me, but days they didn't show up to school, I was by myself. So it was just the way that it worked out. And I lived on a main street that was 4 blocks away. So most of the kids would have had to go down that street in order to get to their houses. So I'm just not too far off of what I'm familiar with. Um, but yeah, again, for me, it's going to come down to a bunch of variables. Uh, I guess for me, I guess in the feeling aspect of it, I guess I would prefer there to be kids just to make the world feel fuller. But
Either kids, someone walking their dog, male person, someone so it doesn't look so
well,
vacant.
no, I would stick to the kids because that's more relevant to what's going on. But I think, because I mean, if we say that Sprinks, then we could just say the ambulance is proof that the world is larger, right?
But
So
that's why there's a cut. As I said, Robbie doesn't turn the corner saying bye to Scotty, and he sees his house. He continues walking down the road, and then it cuts to him coming around a tree later. So it's farther down the road, or possibly a different road entirely.
Yeah, we don't know how long the split was before he got to the corner.
I think yes. I don't have any objective problems with it, though. I think it would be nicer to have him like as I say a little more a little more detail in I guess in the background going on.
We need a Cat in the Hat street view leading up to the house.
We don't need Cat in the Hat.
It
You,
was very
keyword
populated
you,
neighborhood.
want Cat in the Hat.
I'm just talking about how populated the street was.
Yeah, but that still had people walking around.
I know it had a lot. That's why I used it as an example. Alrighty, I will talk about them just letting Robbie into the room after Papa died.
It's the 80s.
They even had a guy on guard at the door. He just walks in. Family ignores him. The paramedic ignores him. The door's just wide open. It's I get the point that they want the scene, but at least get rid of the medic at the door or
Yeah.
something. I don't
At
know.
least see, at least in because we have a kind of very similar moment that happens in the Flash pilot that we watched when Barry sees his mom's body. We do at least have the police being super busy, and the second that someone does notice, like being Joe, he does take Barry away. So there is some of that, and I don't think it lasts as long as this does.
Well, there's no police here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the paramedic is the parallel, I think, being drawn here.
Yeah.
And the fact that the paramedic makes a deal out of it when he does grab him kind of tells me he isn't supposed to be in there,
Yeah.
which means the paramedic sucked.
Oh yeah, no, not just him, but his mother too, and his sister could have set a line like, "You're not supposed to go in there. We're not allowed in there." But seeing that his mother came out of the room as he got home, right? She just lets him go pretty much to go in there because she goes to console them.
Yeah, it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
You have anything to add on it, Springs?
I think it was just the 80s in a different time.
Fair enough. All right.
A lot of things portrayed just kids being able to go and get into anything because people just went, it's a kid.
What about the paramedic actually caring about him being in there later? I feel like it contradicts him guarding at the door.
Yeah.
All right. Ryder.
All right, I will jump to it's a cheesy shot, but I do like that we hold the same camera angle. So like when Robbie is pulled out of the room and the door closes, we get the ghost of the Gramps sitting up and then taking the stairway into the pearly gates. So I do. It's a very cheesy shot, but I guess part of me liked it because it's feels very like old timey filmmaking.
Yeah, I quite liked it, and the only issue I really had with it, the initial getting out of the bed part, is why I like the timing. The timing was very convenient. Oh, Robbie just gets
Oh
pulled in
yeah,
the room
yeah.
out
Like
of the
why
room. Now
now?
he can ascend.
Yeah,
Why not the second he died? Stuff like that.
The 7 minutes of his life still had to flash through his brain.
Hey, there we go. And I can buy 7 minutes did pass. Okay, Springs.
I think it's a decent shot. However, I have a problem with the fact that when he stands up, he's standing in the bed and not beside the bed. His proportions of the ghost are not lined up to that room.
I'm okay with him being in the bed because he is a ghost, but I do feel like he needed to acknowledge that he's in a bed.
yeah. Just like completely ignoring that he is like he's solely focused on walking towards life, but he doesn't notice his own body. With the way it's portrayed, I feel like there should be some acknowledgement.
Yes, but he's too close to the body.
Well, why would his spirit appear next to his body and not from his body?
No, from his body is totally fine, but rolling over on the bed and then standing up on the floor rather than standing in the bed. But it doesn't show you the bed itself, which I guess would be hard for them to portray that way. But his proportions don't match the room.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I think I need to see the scene again to see the proportions point.
Things are gonna get real proportional around here.
And I guess to pick at it more, when he's actually ascending, those like fake walking shots that they do is
With the close up or
Yeah, the
the
face
Gramps?
on where it looks like he's just walking in place, but he's supposed to be going upstairs.
They tried. I will tell you that, but again, it's obvious to tell.
Yeah, and that's just with the face on shots. The when it's the back shot of him walking towards the light, it actually looks like he's just going upstairs. Okay, writer.
Uh, hmm. Uh, I quite like the introduction to Robbie, starting with the interview. Um, I think it's a good hook. The classic example I tend to use when it comes to interviews, uh, like at the start of a film, I always go to The Incredibles now. Because in the just to give a quick summary of that, we're not reviewing it, but just a comparison. The Incredibles introduces its characters, the world, and the rather close proximity the world's heroes have to the people being like they're very personable with their heroes and getting interviews. So it's not like Batman where there's a lot of distance between Batman and like the media and stuff like that. They're very much in your face. Um, and the and then obviously that feeds into the day in the life of Mr. Incredible, which is, very busy day, saving cats, stopping bank robbers and stopping trains and stopping Bon Voyage, and obviously meeting Helen. Um no, it's not Helen.
Helen Parr, Elastigirl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is Helen. I just threw myself off there for a second. And again, it's just sources and all that. Obviously, all of that will feed into the when the world turns on its heroes. But it's an excellent introduction to the character of the world and the important relevance to the story. So while this opening with Robbie doesn't necessarily cover the world building aspect, it serves as a great introduction to this essentially the second main character, because he's Robbie's obviously playing second fiddle to Gramps most of the film, but the relevance of these interviews is that he's the one that's going to live through these experiences with him, and it obviously really impresses on the importance to the audience, the how important his grandfather was to him in his life, and the somewhat self-awareness of his crazy story. Because yeah, I realize it's crazy. I'm 10 now. I've grown up. It's a very kid thing to say. So again, a lot of character you get flushed with as to who Robbie is in that interview, and I think it does a good job impressing upon what the relevance of the story is going to be.
Yeah, I mean it quickly establishes stuff like the grandpa was ex-detective in New York, like right out the bat establishing that. Uh, Sprinks, I have a question for you because you've brought it up in the past, and that's the narrator's like um, reasoning for existing. I guess I don't know. Like, is this scene for the audience, or is this in universe? Like he's telling this at school or something?
Great question. I think it is in universe, but I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know what this is for.
I had a theory that it was going to be Cindy, the reporter.
That would work if it showed it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm kind of sad that that never came to fruition, but I had a running theory that the Cindy would be getting the full story from the kid, uh, not necessarily as part of her report at the end. Um, but I am sad that I guess that never come to fruition because it seems like the easiest explanation as to why he's getting an interview or something to that effect.
Yes, I'm less on that. It's Robbie narrating to the audience because his voice doesn't come through overlaying or anything throughout the movie to retell the story of what's happening.
It's not continuous narration. It just happens at the beginning and the end.
Yes. So I think it's in world.
Okay. Do you guys think it's fine that it's not explained, or
I
yeah?
think it's fine that it's not explained. I think it would be better if it was. It's not like it was a required element for the story, but I think it would have been a nice like bookmark for the story to have explained that in a subtle way. Like, all you have to do is just have a shot once he's done, like when it's at the very end, it says, and that's all there really is to tell. And then you can have one more shot of like backing up from him, and you can have Cindy saying cut. That's all you would need to do. You don't need to prolong it beyond that. But it's not required, I think. It would have been a nice little additional detail.
Let's go from 1 to 10. Where does the word fine line up?
Like, it's not enough to be an objective problem. So I guess
No, it's
5 on your
not.
scale.
It's not an objective problem, but there's way that it could have been a lot better. I find it as a bit of an exposition dump.
It technically is. I'd say it is an exposition dump.
Yeah, I would have
But I-
preferred the movie starts with the Christmas of the following year, and Robbie's 10, and then they're like handing out ornaments or something, and they talk about Papa, and then that makes them go back to last Christmas, which then tells the story.
A more elaborate start, but I'd be okay with that as well. I guess for me, I think it's also fine. I don't think it's bad, but it could have been improved upon. At least it's quick. I don't think it's too drawn out.
It's sitting at like a 4.55 for me.
5.5. All right.
Nope, not a 5.5. Lower than that.
4.55 is
Yeah,
what you said, right? Yeah.
somewhere within there. It's passable, but it's weak.
Is it even weak sauce?
No, it's
I
not that far
wouldn't say it's
down.
weak sauce. No.
Yeah, I mean,
Sprinks got a point.
Nope. Yeah.
Or writer can say his piece, then Sprinks can go.
okay. Yeah, I just want to add on. Like, I don't dock films for adding expositions in the beginning of it. So, like, I treat this as the same way I would treat the Star Wars text crawl. So, it's just information they're giving us at the beginning of the film to before the film starts. So, yeah, it's fine. I don't have any issues with it.
Okay.
Sprinks.
Yeah, the difference, just to go with writer there, the difference for me is that showing what Robbie is saying later to then just still show what he is saying, I find as the weakness to it. Opposed to Star Wars text scrolls where it's stuff before the movie and the events being shown are afterwards events of it. And not like retellings of what happened in the text scroll, which is what feels like with Robbie is happening. What he says at the beginning is all context and stated within the rest of the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. It's setting the scene, but if we didn't have it, the scene would still be explained.
Yes,
through the movie.
you'd still find out that Papa was 45 years a detective, retired, had the gold badge, moved to California with the family. You still get all of that.
Yeah, it just sets you up so you have that mindset going in instead of having to
Yeah.
learn it later and then try to add it to an earlier scene.
That's why I was questioning where the word fine fit.
All right. Well, you can actually make a
Yes.
point.
I like the opening credits that they went alternative between the every other shot of the opening credits was zooming in versus zooming out.
Gives it a. Oh, I just had the word. They made it a bit more dynamic, I guess, with that, and it's not just cookie cutter.
Yes, it gave me a sense of breathing.
It gives you a sense of a slowly beating heart that might be about to.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
The breathing is probably the best way to look at it.
Right. A point I'll make is, I guess, the timeline of events of. I just wrote Papa in my notes because that's mostly what he's called by Robbie. So of after his passing, because the medics told the family doctor everything before the cops even arrive. Now it is 80s, so I don't know how relevant or like how quick a response time the cops need to be on somebody that already is just dead, presumably of natural causes. But I feel like they would be there before the family doctor gets called. I don't know. It just seemed like a weird order.
Unless the family doctor lived in the neighborhood.
Like they told him in person, or
Well, you said the family doctor. could be
Yeah,
there,
that's
just
what the medic
drove
said.
over. Yeah, drove over. Didn't come from a clinic or anything.
I mean, we don't see the family doctor. They just say they called him.
I know. I'm saying the possibility that the respond time of the family doctor is faster than the police by that variable.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I actually don't know in the 80s whether cops would have shown up to a call like this, but normally, at least nowadays, every time there isn't any sort of accident, typically a police officer will show up.
Well, they have to check if it's foul play.
Yeah. I don't know how so like I said I don't know if in the 80s that there would have been police that bothered to show up. But that's just because I didn't live in the 80s.
Anyone any of the viewers or listeners that were alive at the time to recall, make sure to let us know. Police protocol. All right, Ryder, you can make a point.
Speaking of protocol, um the fact that only one medic verified the quote unquote death bugged me a little bit. Cuz it's for the joke, right? Where it's like I thought you checked the equipment. I thought you said he was dead. No, it's like you would know because you would look at the equipment too. And I'm like, that's questionable one for me as well. I think it works as a joke, but it makes, at least to me, it pokes a hole in the world. But again, that could be a protocol thing.
Yeah, that's one I would lean is lacks of the time, but hard to say. Wasn't around. Okay, Sprinks.
The scening at the school or where the family's watching them and taking photos and whatnot. The ADR overlay of Robbie singing is okay to boost his audio.
Okay, I had a feeling you were going to bring that up because it was just of the children, and then you can hear his voice fade in and become prominent.
Yeah, it works a little bit because he's singing off key. So it kind of helps make him stand out a little bit more. At least it makes what the ADR sound a little bit more natural to me.
You say it's okay. What would have made it better, Sprinks?
Better ADR work.
So it didn't match his lips?
Not all of it, no.
Okay. I'd have to re-see it. All right. I will have... Well, actually, I'll compliment it. Heaven, the Pearl Gates, what have you. I think that looks great. Especially for a TV film. The fog, the distance, the gate, even the light on the top. It feels quite heavenly. I think very well executed. There are some logistical questions that I will pose later, but purely in the execution of the look, I think they did a good job.
Yeah, how the line would keep growing quickly, but
Well, most people don't get up there.
I guess not.
I guess.
Yeah, no, I quite like that he's stubborn enough to like not immediately get in line with the others. Even though the others are like, "Oh yeah, we're here," you know. They have a brief exchange of information, like all confirming his worst fears before he goes off to try and talk to the angels.
Yeah. Anything to add on that initial point, Sprinks?
The way it's depicted is enough context to give someone the look of what heaven could be.
Yeah. And I mean, it could go into the thing of like heaven is what you imagine it to be. Like if the priest died, maybe there would be no angels. He would just be at the gate or something. I don't know. I know that's an angle some media takes of heaven. It's like how you perceive it to be is what it is. I don't think that's what they were going for here, but
The priest finds all the alcohol he could want.
yeah. All right. Sprinks.
1258. I think the smoke machine was too much. Covered the whole screen. Couldn't see anything.
I guess what came before that, so I can picture that.
Papa talking to one of the angels who came out, and they're talking in line, and then the smoke covers the whole screen.
Okay. Not as a transitional pit.
No.
Okay, I don't remember that. Once again, I'll have to go look. But I did like him like emerging from the smoke, fog, what have you, from the stairs. That looked pretty clean.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. His
It's okay.
arrival.
All right, Ryder, you're up.
I like Grandpa or Gramps half taking pictures and half trying to enjoy Robbie's show. Just a small detail, like he's just preserving the memory of what he can and stuff like that before he goes off to complain about Christmas trees.
Well, I think they do a good job establishing him as a good grandpa.
Yeah,
He goes to his grandson's events. He talks to him a lot, and you can really see the impact on Robbie as they have that parallel of the mom saying he doesn't have much of a hold on him, and then they're running away with the car.
yeah. And obviously, the addition I would add to that is you also have it's all reinforcing the interview that he has at the start of the film.
Yeah. The only thing I would weigh against it is later he brings up, I think it was with the priest, that he then remembered his deal or with Robbie, and instead of just thinking it immediately. I think when he got up there, but he could be in the awe of the moment. He did think he was dreaming. Okay, Sprinks.
Why I don't understand why the angels keep turning around to listen to Papa when they're done with the conversation.
That's because they're angels. It would be wasn't it a sin to be rude or something like that?
So why end the conversation?
Because they assumed it's over.
That gets into the logistics question or point I was
Yeah.
bringing up earlier of the. I feel like a lot of people would be like, no, it's not my time. Angel, angel.
Yeah.
I feel like there would be a lot more dissenters than just Papa here. Also, no rejects. So I guess if you make it to the gate, you're probably going in the gate.
Maybe.
All right, Ryder.
The very very brief turnaround from uh, Gramps getting up and having a big spring in his step to like from when the dad arrives home and he's like has a moment to mourn with everyone and then Gramps just walks up and we time skip essentially to Robbie being asleep at night. I feel like we're missing elements of a conversation that should have happened, at least between the family, since it evidently becomes really important later on. We get the important stuff, but it comes across as very drastic for uh, the dad to want to now put him in a home and the mother kind of being stuck between both, wanting to keep her husband happy and obviously keep her dad out of a home. So I feel like the conversation, seeing some of that conversation would be really important to inform why the dad is so on a very hard line path as an antagonist for a majority of the film.
I can agree a bit. I mean, there's enough, I think, implied history between the father not liking the hold that Papa has over Robbie, and you could see he was very flustered when Papa was still alive. It's like, what's going on here? He was flustered. It's not that he was happy that he died or anything, but
Yeah, I know.
he was. I feel the history of annoyance, I guess, by the grandpa. I don't know. Any thoughts on that relation, Sprinks?
It's just kind of. It just feels off. I think that just goes into the acting.
I feel like the home is the biggest thing, taking him to a home.
Yeah. Also, this father goes to my list of bad dads.
I figured he would.
Didn't like
I
him at
think
all.
he is one of our worst ones we've covered.
Uh, yeah. See, the him being mad at grandfather for taking his kid right after a heart attack, after explicitly being told not to. I think I buy that. The home stuff. That's kind of why I want the conversation I just brought up between him and the family, so he at least I know where he's coming from. And then obviously he can't keep track of his kids at all. So not a great father. I don't think he's like the worst father ever, but definitely like on a scale of 1 to 10, he's definitely a 3.
Robbie got lost in New York in Christmas.
Did Home Alone steal from this movie? This hugely successful movie?
You know what? One could think a couple movies stole from this movie.
I did I did have a couple moments like that.
Do you know what the best way to spread Christmas cheer is?
Is to sing loud for all to hear.
Exactly.
The exact vibes I had. What was I gonna bring
I
up?
would have thrown my hands in the air if the dad started singing.
It's very close. I wonder if there was any inspiration or not. Hard to say. It is a small movie.
It also reminded me, depending on how it ended, actually it kind of did. Kind of reminded me of Jack Frost.
I guess with the bittersweet ending, I can kind of see that. The mission was fulfilled. Type deal. Uh, let's see. It was something about the father. Oh yes. So something I think that would strengthen the jump to he needs to go in a home is if there was some established stuff with the grandpa that he was going senile or something. Because throughout the film, he's not a senile old man. He's pretty cognizant and stuff. So the one incident of uh, angels in New York, I feel like is kind of a leap to be like, all right, time for the home.
Yeah.
So I feel like a little bit of a seed or inkling before that would be nice.
He doesn't buy into grandfather's stories at all and thinks he exaggerates, which I guess I really appreciate the bullet hole in the next act, but which because that kind of proves that he is telling Robbie versions of the truth at least.
Yeah, I don't think did he lie to Robbie about any stories or anything?
None that we could find in the film, I don't think.
Yeah, nothing confirmed.
Yeah. No, he's not as senile as Papa Nichols.
Papa Nichols. Papa Nichols. What's Papa Nichols from?
Drake and Josh.
Oh. Embarrassed I couldn't pick that up. That is a senile old man. Very spry though.
Thinks he's still in the war.
You know what? I shouldn't be surprised by I am surprised you remembered his name. Yeah, you managed to remember everything.
Well, if it's movie related that I've seen or show, it's kind of my niche.
Right, Sprix, you can go next.
I it's hard to put this where it lines up. I think it's too silly. I'll say that. I think it's too silly of a joke because I think they were doing it for serious and it comes across too silly. When they're in heaven and the angel with the papers is like, oh, maybe he can't solve our problems. And he was sent here because, of him. Like he sent him. And they both look up. I know that's a depiction of like how to like look at heaven on earth, but they're already there. And I think it's too silly for them trying to get a serious point of the movie across.
That one's a tricky one. I have a hard time reading if it was supposed to be serious or comedic or a combo.
I think it's human actors showing how to depict it, which is a kind of universal sign that it's up, but they're already there.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with them looking up because they're not looking up at heaven; they're looking up at God, right? Like God's above them. I don't really have much of an issue with that. It's, I guess, the tone being set that you brought up that I'm kind of on the fence of. Is it supposed to be more serious or not? Because I also have the similar vibes with when they're off in the distance talking, and the archangel was like flailing his arms around, so you can tell that there's a disagreement going on. It feels like it's played to be serious, but I could kind of see a comedic element to how animated he was. So it's kind of hard for me to
I think I
determine
need
that.
more humorous dialogue across any one of those three characters for it then to work better. But it seems like a very serious topic amongst them all.
Yeah, I mean the normal angel guy, he is kind of comedic with his mannerisms and facial expressions and stuff. So there is an air of comedy there, but I think a harder line would clearly define it a bit more. That'd be better.
Yeah,
All right,
I
writer.
wanted to keep the like the tone because I do think it's supposed to be a mix of both humor and like seriousness. I do think it's supposed to be like that anyway. So in order to keep that, it could have just been one of them just gesturing to the world around them, like instead of them looking both up, like they both just gesture at the absurdity of where they are, kind of thing.
Throw a
I
thumb
think
at the gates kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, something like that. So I think it would keep the humor aspect of it because I do think there's a little bit of that and the cheekiness when they both just look up. But it would also still keep the tone of what's going on. I don't have a, I don't, to be then I don't actually have any issue with them just looking up because they're humans in theory, or I guess they're angels, but like you know if they're humans that became angels, that still feels like a natural thing they would do.
I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a thing.
we don't we don't get the origin of these angels.
That's true.
So I don't
We
really get
definitely
this.
say an angel can come down to the earth and get drunk, so I'm not gonna rule that out of possibility.
Yes, they can take mortal
Yeah.
um, being, mortal form. That's what-
Yeah, they don't establish if angels are their own thing or if they are past people that like, got elevated. They don't really break that down, and I don't think they need to in this one. All right, because like in Wonderful Life, an angel's a human that gets elevated based off of what Clarence said. This we don't have anything for that. All right, the timeline in terms of like winter break is a short winter break. I don't know if over the years we kids have gotten more like the 2 week thing, but here it's just a few days.
That is true. It's what, 3 days before Christmas?
Yeah.
4 days?
Hmm. See, I think when he left school, it was the 22nd. Because then the 23rd was her looking for a story. The 24th was the day she was supposed to have the story. So I think it's the 22nd. So yeah, very short winter break, and I don't know if that's a time thing like 80s or if it's just a issue for the film.
I mean, I guess it's anecdotal. I always got out for my winter break. Felt like usually it was between the 18th and the 21st, and then it ran until like the third or the second, or the second or the third for January.
I remember being like, yeah, 2 week span. Oh, that was a long time ago now.
I don't recall. I knew it was more than a week.
Yes, it was more than a week. That's for sure. All right, we're a writer.
Yeah. I was going to complain when they snuck out in the car, but the car was turned off. That was one of the little details I quite liked.
I agree.
I still feel like and the parents were enthralled in their argument, so I'm okay with them not noticing. But I liked that the fact that the car was turned off for them to sneak out. That for me was a detail that I liked because it's just basic intelligence, I guess.
Good detail that could easily be overlooked in anything, really.
Yeah.
I like that they did throw that in there.
And Robbie had to be in the driver's seat because he doesn't have the muscle to push the car. So
Yeah, all good stuff that they threw in there. Yeah, Sprinks.
Scotty really thinks driving with Papa is better than any Disneyland ride.
I mean, that's what Scotty says. I mean, he's an
No,
interesting character of what we got of him walking down that sidewalk.
I
I'm
No,
disagree.
Scotty was being hyperbolic. I don't think he was being literal. Scotty might not have even been to Disneyland.
Well, it's also hearsay. Robbie's the one who says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's you have to mind that's after we see that Grandpa is a kind of a crazy driver. So there might be some element
True. I
that
think you give Scotty what 11 years. I think he'll be a big fan of not Pirates of Indiana Jones because that comes out in
Uh,
'95.
oh, I thought you were talking about the ride because I'm like, yeah, that's a fun ride.
Yeah, the ride,
Indiana
the
Jones.
Indiana Jones ride comes out in '95.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
'84, or I'm guessing when this movie takes place.
Yeah, that was when on the screen the like arrest records for Boggs said it was 84.
Okay.
Okay, and writer again.
okay. Airplane. I do like that. It's a quiet scene, but Grandpa's asked to kind of tell. It serves as two things: exposition, but also gives Grandpa's perspective of what they're expecting to find in New York, because they don't really know that the Christmas cheer is gone yet. But there's an expectation, so it kind of it builds an expectation that obviously gets subverted, and and also doubles as exposition. So I think it's just nice. It was a nice scene too to show them like them bonding, and because we don't really get much of them together at the start of the film. We have the morning of the death, and then we have him sneaking Robbie out, and then again we kind of get this. So this is kind of their first prolonged, quote unquote, normal scene together because they have quite a few conversations in the film.
Yeah, they do. I mean, he does have an expectation that the spirit's going to be different, but he doesn't know how much. And I mean, it's heavily diminished to where there's not even a single Christmas event to cover on the news. Zero
Yes,
spirit,
Cindy is
except
just dead
one
inside,
person.
making,
Yeah,
giving that first news report.
he's like the only one with any Christmas spirit left. Okay. And yeah, okay, Sprinks, you can go.
Uh, what a real fake looking taxi.
Oh, with the like background.
Yeah, the background shot leaning out the window.
I mean, it
Pretty
is
cheap.
aged, but from what I've seen, it's not like too out of the norm of the period. Though there is certainly examples from the 80s that are better looking than that.
Yeah.
I think one of the funny bits of that scene for me is when they, at the end of it, when they walk off, the cabbie's arguing with the two police officers, and like in the middle of arguing with them, he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks for leaving the tip" or whatever. Like he just throws it in there. I'm pretty sure it's ADR work,
Yes.
but it's still kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess an overarching question. When it might be harder for you, Crimson, because you've seen it multiple times. When were you, pun intended, tipped off that Papa Mike is to be kind of the new Christmas cheer angel?
Yeah, you're right. I can't really answer that. I don't recall.
Uh, okay. Are you asking when I first had that idea? Or are you asking when I had, like, first knew it was suspected that he was going to be it? Does that make sense?
I don't see a difference in those two questions.
When you popped up the theory or when it was confirmed or something?
No, it's more like when I had the theory that yeah, I guess yeah, when he had the theory that grandfather was going to be the new spirit angel. Yeah. Is that the question?
Yes.
I didn't really start thinking about it until uh we met the angel that's currently in charge of it.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't really view that as relevant to the story yet. So
And yourself, Sprinks?
I picked it up as a theory of mine when Papa gave the tip to the baggage handler at the hotel.
yeah, I
Because
mean,
it
like,
really came across that he's like, this is the first tip I've ever got. And he was big and smiley, and it made that scene longer.
yeah, I get
And
that.
that's significant.
Yeah, I agree that the setup is there, so I would definitely acknowledge it because I took that more as like he's just being a good person, like he's spreading Christmas cheer in his own way, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's doing it on the level of the whole city or whatever. 'Cause
Yes, but coming off the taxi scene.
yeah, actually, this might be just how I saw the film originally. Because when they said that the angel goes down to spread Christmas cheer, I took that as a more less physically going around as a Santa Claus and spreading Christmas cheer, and more as, oh, he's actually going around and doing like angel things to spread Christmas cheer. So it's like more mythical kind of aspect. That's why I didn't connect grandfather immediately to him being the one who's going to save Christmas for New York.
Okay. Also, being a first watch, I questioned if that taxi driver was Wiley Boggs
Ah, well,
because they didn't really have a photo of him.
it would have been well, I don't know if it'd be an interesting twist, but
Well, I was thinking about
be interesting.
because they're having a conversation of Papa explaining like how he came back and what heaven looked like and everything, and the cab driver like interrupts the conversation to talk about someone from Mars. So that like tipped me off. It's like, oh, he doesn't like he went missing and things have been a problem. Why did he go missing? And this cab driver interrupts that to, deter the conversation away. So it made me suspicious of him.
Okay, I can see that, um, implying that there's more relevance to him
Yeah.
based off
Or
that.
how he was trying to, like, his first act was trying to do something nice and he got beat up for it. It's like, oh, if that was like an angel's first attempt this year to spread joy and got beaten up, he's like changed.
He's been doing it for 200 years.
Yeah. So I got suspicious of the driver, but
All right. The fake Christmas tree scene, I wish I had a bit more weight. I think it did a good job establishing the relationship between Papa and the mom, but past that, it doesn't really have any relevance to anything. The tree doesn't come back as something other than the parents are decorating it later when they're talking.
you ever had a flock tree?
I have not. I've had real trees and fake trees, but no flock trees.
No, a flock tree is a pain in the ass.
Oh, they're messy. They
They
leave
are
like
messy
foam
as
on the
hell.
floor and stuff. My grandparents have one, so I know at least a little bit of it.
No, not the tree for me. I don't want a flock tree. I don't want a sparkly, shiny tree. I just want a normal tree. I'm a
What
pine
about a
tree.
bright red one?
No.
Yeah, I don't really get that. I feel like any colored trees feel like displays at malls.
Yeah, those fir
Putting that in
ones,
a house,
those
no.
fir trees with the fake snow on them. No, don't want that.
I mean, I do like how those look, but it's not one I
Yeah,
would
they're a
want to own.
mess.
Yeah, I just wouldn't own it.
Yeah, I like how they look. Don't want to go through the hassle of cleaning up after it, because once it's in place and it's like in the house, won't cause much of a mess. But getting it in place and setting it up properly and decorating it,
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, just get a tree skirt. It'll be fine. It'll cover it. Then clean the." No, 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 no. Those don't work all the time. It helps maybe 30%.
Well, then
Your
each
tree
year,
will be in the dining room. You'll still have glitter in the kitchen somehow. Like,
yeah, and then each year it degrades more and more, and you get less and less of it, and it gets more yellow as the years go by too. It's not as white looking. Just lots negatives, but it does look pretty when it's new.
yeah. I mean,
Give it that.
I'm also just give me a regular tree. I have had to use fake trees, but I still prefer the regular ones. And even though I have to clean up pine needles, totally fine. Just I like the smell of pine in my house.
Yeah.
I guess on this topic before I move it away, tinsel. Thoughts on tinsel on trees?
on a
'Cause I
tree
view
is
those as
okay.
messy and annoying to remove.
They can be annoying to remove. I don't think I've really come across tinsel that's messy.
Like, maybe it's because I've had pets that like play with it when it's dangling
Oh,
off the
that could be it.
bottom and stuff.
Yeah, tinsel's
Probably
just a
don't want them if you have cats.
shiny streamer. Just wrap it around, wrap it off.
Never
Yeah,
had tinsel
that'll
on a
easy
tree.
clean up.
I don't feel the need for it. I don't have any nostalgia attached to it.
Yeah, I think I only had 1 year with it. All right, but back to the film. I don't remember who made the last point. I know it was me. I had the tree point. Sprinks, you can go.
Oh, awesome. I am out of points. for Act 1.
All right, Ryder, you can go.
Sweet. I'll rapid fire one out. The fucking the call, the phone call that he makes to no wait, that's after the sack, isn't it? The phone
No,
call
I
that he
think
makes to the family.
that's before getting in the cab.
Okay, then yeah, I'll talk about this. I quite like the scene just because the transition from it is pretty funny. Once the Gramps is trying to explain calmly to his daughter about what's going on, and then the dad is just getting more and more mad, and eventually takes over the phone, and Gramps just is really calm with him, and it just pisses the dad off even more.
And the mom was on Papa's side. Like, well, you raised your voice at him. I do like how Papa handled, like, he left them a note. He called when they got there. He said he was going to call when they got to the hotel.
Yeah,
They
he's
didn't
not
show that
trying to
part, but
keep
I'm
them
sure he
out of the
probably did.
loop. Yeah, he's making it clear that he's not
Yeah.
kidnapping him. So
They did call when they got to the hotel. They just didn't pick up because they already left.
yeah, so
Oh.
so they
So I do like that.
yeah, I like that too because it's more proof that he's not trying to go against their wishes, but he's just going against their wishes. He's just trying to do to get to not make things as bad as it possibly could be, which is good. I like the effort they're putting in for that.
More on police or just protocol. The police officer lets them leave without getting like witness statements. I don't know if that's lax 80s or just lazy film.
I don't think it has any relevance to the taxi, does it?
Well, witness statements of he would just be like, all right, we're like the taxi driver could blame them for like they grabbed my head and turned me around and I hit into you. The cabbie could make up any story he really would want. So you would want the statements of the passengers.
Hmm.
I just don't know if it was protocol because I know today they would absolutely get witness statements from it.
I'll chalk that up to as a convenience, I guess, because I don't think it's an issue that they walk off because they're obviously not the center focal point of the conversation. But yeah, that's a convenience that I guess the cops don't care.
What do you view that as, Springs?
Yeah, I'd go with the cops don't care as a problem's too high issue.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably what I'm labeling it as either. I think it's a little bit higher than a nitpick for sure, because it kind of does affect the film that they don't get called into that. They could even use that cop to get a ride to the police station for his detective pals or something.
Yeah. Or they could just have an old guy and a young kid on the force together. That's what they're talking to the cab, and one of the old guy just recognizes his old partner or whatever. It would work. It would work.
Sure. Yeah, you could connect it like that as well. All right, Ryder, how are your notes looking since Springs is out?
That I think was my last one. I'm skimming right now.
Okay. I guess it's a hypothetical talking point because I don't think we can actually. But I find it weird that the heavens or angels, what have you, can lose control of an angel or just lose one, like they don't know where they're at. It seems kind of a weird thing to me. I guess views on that topic.
They never show anything of tracking. They just know Laszlo and whereabouts essentially, or where they sent them.
They have a system where you log out. They track where you logged out, but not necessarily where you're going.
I wonder how they get picked up. If they just fly or teleport, or
Or just die.
you need an angel to send them. Or maybe they could just die. Maybe is it Boggs? I was
Yeah, Wiley
Wiley
Boggs.
Boggs.
maybe he dies every year and comes back as a different person or something. And kind of interesting. They don't show any of that. Okay. Well, I'm out.
Yeah.
Find anything, Ryder?
I did. My last one is just the good on them for establishing a time limit. They have they have until Christmas, and Gramps trying to still teach Robbie to do as I say, not as I do, with the way he treats Robbie's dad. I kind of like that because the grandpa recognizes that he's not doing what he's supposed to and he might be a bad influence, so he's still trying to teach Robbie.
Yeah, I think he tries his best to be a good role model for Robbie.
Yeah.
Even through the kidnapping.
But yeah, then with that, I'm out.
Right, on to Act 2, which is the end of this cab scene to the end of the priest scene. And we shall start with Sprinks.
On the beginning credits, I recognized Annie Potts as a name. I'm like, oh, I've heard that before. Then when I saw her in the movie as Cindy Mills, I went, oh my gosh. Nothing of Annie Potts.
Really? Because that's the receptionist lady from Ghostbusters.
Yeah. I didn't recognize her by name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't recognize her by name. Did you recognize her voice from something?
Yeah, she's Bo Peep in Toy Story.
Yeah. That I found when looking up stuff. I did not. I did not pick that up. Alrighty. Writer.
I quite like the reporter scene. It's our introduction to her. And I find it amusing because I'm going to be honest, I don't think New York would tolerate those measures, like canceling the Christmas parade. There's not going to be a giant tree this year. I don't think the city would tolerate that. But I do like that as the setting the stage, I guess, for the story.
It's so extreme to where I don't believe the Christmas spirit is within people. I think it is given to them by angels. Because you're right. I don't think normal people, even without Christmas spirit, would tolerate no Christmas lights or decorations. The parade is canceled. No one's doing anything. It feels like, why does everybody need magical intervention to be in the Christmas spirit?
It seems like there's an
strong.
anti-angel or a demon, whatever, doing the opposite effect.
It does. It feels like less of an absence of the Christmas spirit and the removal of it, which is not kind of how they were playing it off as.
Yeah, which I think is potentially a minor problem, but it is an amusing interview. Again, it serves as a good introduction to Cindy. It's just it's for me that was the biggest fantasy aspect of the film. Not the fact that we went to heaven. It's just the fact that it's just gone. Like the Christmas spirit just vanished from one year to the next.
Oh yeah, I definitely see that as something. I mean, it's to heighten the contrast of his memories and what we have now.
Yeah, like
It is quite extreme of a measure.
it serves as a storytelling tool, but it feels like it wasn't put there neatly. The storytelling tool. It damages a few other things around the edges as far as world building goes, but it's still there in order to facilitate a specific story they want to tell.
Yeah. I'll jump to yeah. If you guys are done with this topic, I would like to jump somewhere.
Sure, your lead.
Well, I didn't know if you guys were done talking. I guess at the hospital, psych ward, whatever it ended up being, the twist of the doctor being a patient was so left field. It doesn't feel like a joke that would be in this movie. It feels like it'd be in plenty of other media, but that one was a surprise one.
Yeah,
From something in the past you've shown us before, Crimson, called The Incredible Shrinking Woman, feels similar to something like that.
Yes, I think that is a very good comparison. Like them leaving that facility with the person screaming in the box going up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does have those vibes. And they dedicated a fair amount of screen time on this crazy guy running through the hospital trying to get out.
That is where I draw my biggest issue, is that the time devoted to this joke goes on a little too long. Also, I think that the S on his just appears on his shirt.
Oh, he opened his jacket and
he opens his
shirt
jacket.
underneath had the S on it.
He opens his jacket, and then the shirt underneath is plain until he gets on top of the the table, I think.
No, it was there when you opened it. The Superman S.
Hmm, maybe. I might be thinking, I might be remembering it wrong, but I don't remember the S being there until he was on the table. Or like once he got up on the gurney, the stand, wherever, whenever he stood up on something to shout.
Sprinks, do you think it was too long of a joke? Just about right?
The crazy
Superman
Superman guy.
stuff. Yeah.
Um, I think it's just about right. I think tension cutter.
All right. And we get to see the powers of Boggs. And it's not just, oh, be happy with people and give smiles. There is like a magical aspect to it, like hypnosis to a degree, mind control. Because he got the doctor to 180, not just out of kindness, but she didn't even know what she did, really. It's like, I would never have done that. So I do like that they established there is some magic involvement to some degree. Makes his yearly goal more believable, at least to me.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going back and looking at the Superman bit guy, and the S is on his shirt at all times.
Okay.
Or his undershirt. He has a jacket, he has a button up, and then he has a white shirt.
Okay. I'm thinking of the button up. That's why I think the jump from that bugged me a little. Because he opens the button up and then the S is there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, you guys.
My favorite, I think, bit of that, though, the Superman thing, is the two guys who almost knock over the guy in the wheelchair and say, "Be careful, you
And
might
then he
cause
immediately
injury," and they turn
knocks
the
over.
corner and hit the lady on the ladder.
Yeah. Again, I found it to be amusing. I think it went on a little too long, and it was definitely a tone shift. Doesn't quite fit the tone of the film.
Writer point, please.
Oh, writer point coming up. I quite like the first thing that Gramps tries to show him in New York being that, oh yeah, they always have such a special display of something. It's obviously it's the first sign that something is not quite right. If to them, because obviously they didn't listen to Cindy's news report. And then it's gone awry, and that sets them on their path to go to the police station.
Yeah, and the fact that there was a crowd there kind of sells, oh, it's a really good display this year, but no, they're just watching the chaos that's
They're getting
happening.
their enjoyment from the chaos.
And I originally thought it was actually a performance until the elves left the building.
As a
Uh,
first timer, I also thought it was a performance, and then it's confirmed not to be. I think.
at least that's what it seemed like when they left. Do you come away with that as well, Springs?
Yeah, it wasn't a performance. It was them getting hellacious and
Sacked.
being rascals.
Yeah. Springs?
I don't know why Pies tipped off Papa. That something was wrong with that.
It did seem to carry weight with him, and I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah, that's just
Maybe if
again.
he's like pies, they've never had pies before. At least that would mean it's something's different with
If
it.
Mickey
But
Rooney
without
played it off
that,
like interest, like he's like, "Oh, that sounds like a new scene I've never seen before. That sounds interesting." If he did that versus Pies, that's a problem. I gotta check. Hang on, out of my way.
Yeah,
yeah,
this is a quick line of dialogue that could fix this. Either have him go like, "They've never used pies before, what?" Or it's like, "Oh, that's something new, nice," and then
Yeah. Add a lion or change the acting.
yep. Either of those would improve what is present. Writer.
I will jump to the police station. I think I touched on a point that I already went over, but I like the bullet hole bit because it kind of is the payoff to a line that the dad says about what he thinks. So yes, they're just stories, Robbie, or something to that effect earlier in the film. And then this is kind of proof that he does tell Robbie true stories.
Yeah, I think it's an important scene to have there.
Yeah, it's such a
'Cause it
small
does
detail,
connect
but it
things.
very much backfills a lot of the off-screen relationship that these two have had.
And it goes contrary to what the dad's saying, like he's just telling stories. Stories are real. At least what we have established, as we kind of talked about. Is it convenient that his desk is unoccupied?
I
Absolutely.
question that.
Because
It
the
is.
rest of the station seems quite
I
full.
went, what if that's not his desk anymore?
It shouldn't be his desk anymore. It's like, oh, everything's as I left it. I'm like, no, this desk would be assigned
But
to someone new. Like,
yes, it questioned to me how recent is his retirement. Like, did he
Well,
fly
he's
out to live with the family on the like 22nd of December, and then we see the events of the 23rd?
well,
I guess
he's
the 21st. So
64.
then,
At least Michael Rooney, 64 at the time, which is retirement age. So I mean, it could be a very recent retirement, but the way that they acted seemed like it's been a while since they've seen each other. So I'm not quite sure.
what does Robbie say at the beginning? He came to live with us. I think he gives a time frame, but I don't remember. Because obviously that time frame
Uh,
comes to an end after this story.
if there was, I didn't write it down.
I feel like there was, but I could be misremembering.
So I guess on the topic of the desk being occupied, uh, is it a negative on anyone's scale, or is it ambiguous to be a fine?
Without defined time parameters, I would definitely have it around the nitpick range, I think. It's a bit of a world building problem.
Robbie says that Papa moved after Grandma died.
Yeah, and we didn't have a timeline on when Grandma died, so hard to say on that. The desk thing, Sprinks. What would you label that as? Anything, or it's just barely passable because there's not enough info?
Of it is a nitpick. It's very small. It wouldn't make sense for. I mean, time has passed. Possibly not a week, but at least a couple of days that it would be issued to another possible detective, but just another police officer in the precinct.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of in line with you guys.
I'm gonna
It's
go with
a
I'm gonna
nitpick.
go with a more than a week because the computer has digitized files and that would have taken months.
That's true. They would have to.
And they don't get that until
Digitize
he's
that.
the day until like the
And he
day
never
after
heard
he
of it.
retires or whatever. Yeah.
All right.
Mm, I don't know. It could still be uploading files. It can still function without being full 100%.
Yeah. I guess now that we looked up Rooney's age, it's not much of a problem anymore, or issue, or nitpick with me anymore. And that's the priest age gap, because I thought Michael Rooney was older in this, and the priest didn't look that much older. But uh, Papa said, I never wrote down the priest name. I just wrote down priest. But
Yeah, that's fair.
he he said he was around Robbie's age when the priest left seminary school, which would uh, Robbie was 9 years old in during this story. So 9 years old in seminary school. I mean, you have to be out of your teens for that, or can you do that when you're a teenager? I'd imagine it's past that, right?
I don't remember. I'm gonna pull up my church knowledge.
I think could be younger if a family member or family friend is a part of it. Can get you in at a younger age, but I don't know.
So if he was 9, I'm giving at least a safe like 10-year gap between them. But since he was 64, 74 is a believable age, I
74 is
guess.
more believable than 84.
Yeah, let's hear the movie. So I guess that got fixed
I guess
during the
seminary
podcast for
school
me.
is usually you start around between 14 and 18. So some students enter after college because it will accept students up until like the 20s and 30s, but most people would start between 14 and 18.
Hmm. So I guess it could be less than a 10-year gap then. Regardless, not any nitpicks or issues with it now. It was something I had in my notes. Sprix, you're up next.
Yeah, 5111. When it's showing the phone ringing in the family's house that they're trying to call and they're not picking up because they're on a flight over to New York. Those dining room table chairs don't match as a full set.
No, I mean, it could be a mixture of their household's chairs and what Papa had at his house
No.
now that they're living together.
Nope.
No, why is that a no?
I don't think Papa came up with anything other than his clothes. I don't think he came with any furbishments or anything.
Why do you say that?
I think it's I see this as an issue onto the set design. That they think it's such a background detail for this film that it will be overlooked. And guess what? It wasn't. I caught it.
It could be, but going back to the original question, why are you ascribing that Grandpa didn't bring anything when he moved in?
Because he seems so carefree of not thinking of belongings, just like pack things when they have to leave. It doesn't seem like he came with anything to move into the extra room.
I'm leaning that it is a lazy set design, but I too think it is possible that Grandpa brought furniture from his house. So I guess with that combination, I'm in the middle zone.
Don't really have an opinion on this one.
All right. Springs, you want to go with another one?
Sure. Did Cindy invite that elderly neighbor to attend dinner with her?
Yes, that is the implication.
Well, it was going to be part of a program. You're talking about the 105-year-old or
No.
someone else? Oh, someone else.
No, when she gets the voicemail that some guy canceled on her and she was going to have like a dinner prepared and everything. So she goes downstairs to the woman who she saw through the window watching TV by herself. Verbally heard what's being said, but then it cuts to the next scene. So is it to imply that she invited her to dinner?
That is the implication I got, yes.
I think that's a fair assumption. I think she wants to grab as much holiday spirit as possible, and inviting a neighbor to dinner, I'd say, is part of the spirit.
Okay.
Not something I would probably do.
Different time.
I'm not the most Christmassy guy. Well, also that.
That ended up
All right,
being
Loretta,
one of
you
my.
can go.
I mean, to a little more on that scene, that ended up being one of my favorite scenes of the movie. It's just a simple act of kindness on the part of Cindy. It tells us so much about who Cindy's character is. So she's not just like, it's not just a job to her to go out and find like a Christmassy story. This is actually like something she wants to do. It's a passion because she likes having the Christmas spirit. Good characterization.
Yeah, I'd say she had enough passion. She didn't have to do the live video at the end. She could have just passed it off to the sports or weather extensions. And I mean, she went to the extent of trying to interview a 105-year-old just to get a holiday story. So, yeah, I think that was good for her character. I guess on that topic, Sprinks, do you have anything regarding Cindy?
Well, I'm just also in agreement that I think she invited her to a meal.
Okay. I'll talk about the priest. I think I don't know. I'm a little on the edge on whether or not the scene was a bit too long. I think they do a good job establishing their friendship. They feel like lifelong friends. They get introductions between the priest and Robbie because they had never met. And they talk about the angel stuff and him dying. So they do a lot in the scene. I just don't know if it's too much screen time dedicated to it. What do you guys think?
Like more screen time dedicated to what with Robbie?
No, the priest segment. They do a lot with the scene. I just don't know if it's too long.
I think it's with what this movie is, I think it's okay because I think this Christmas film is trying to depict more of the heavenly aspect situation. So a scene about the church, I think, is to help counterweight later in the film, more so to the earlier shot of being in heaven.
Yeah, I didn't think this scene was long at all. Like I said, I found the joke scene earlier, the with the superheroes mental patient. I found that to be longer feeling than this in terms of overstaying its welcome.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess on the topic of the heavenly spiritual side of this, I do like that they kind of just take that angle. Usually, Christmas films that go that approach usually do a parallel between that and the corporate side to Christmas. I don't feel like they really did that in this. Of course, you have the Rent a Santa and stuff, but I don't think they do that as a contrast to the spiritual side. It's just something in there, and I kind of do appreciate that. It's not something at least I see a lot when in these type of movies. Don't know if you guys have experienced the same
Um,
thing.
I think it either goes biblical or not, and this one seems to have a good happy medium of the two.
Okie dokie. Well, let's go with a writer point.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking over the religion aspect of the film a little bit more. I yeah, I think it's fine. Um, I do like that they are old enough now to both enjoy like the priest and Gramps both enjoy. They know where the alcohol is. Kind of that little bit kind of gives insight to their friendship and stuff like that, even if it's not a particularly long bit. And I love the as well the the contrast between Robbie sleeping and the two of them talking late into the night, and the definitely the higher you have some higher purpose line here. It definitely started feeding into the confirming for me that the grandfather was, if not going to be the Christmas cheer angel this year, he was going to play a very important role.
All right, Sprinks, either add on or move to a different point.
Um, let's see here. The just missing Wiley Boggs in the elevator bit did seem to me a little long of the introduction of Wiley Boggs to lead up to that.
Like how long it took them to get there.
Yes, it seemed like two scenes compiled into one, which made the one seem longer. Rather than an introduction of Wiley Boggs, cut something else, and then going back to it to show, like, oh, they just missed him by the elevator. It combined the two.
I agree. I didn't really pick up on that, but I do see that as a little discrepancy in the way it's cut together.
Yeah,
Which could fall onto editing and pacing. But then again, one could be like, what are they going to edit in between the two? Which could be the scene prior to it, but
I do like the slowness of how they're unveiling the angel using his magic. I'm gonna call it's a magic system for the purposes of this discussion. Like the purposes of like being able to kind of hypnotize people into getting them to do what he wants without forcing them to. Like he makes them feel like this is the correct decision to do, like this is the right thing to do. That's feeds into that the mythology of whatever that is. And I do like that aspect to the scene a lot, but I do agree there's something about it that feels a little bit disjointed.
Yeah, I think Sprinks pointed it out pretty well of
just paced weird.
what is absent.
I think it's just paced weird.
Yeah, you said it was either
Yeah.
editing or pacing, and I kind of tend to agree. I'm not sure what I would add in if it was editing, or what I would take out if it was editing.
I'll talk about the Rent a Santas. I guess one thing, kind of convenient that the clue was left for them to find, but it's not the end of the world. It's possible. At the actual Rent a Santas, I did like the joke of them getting an order, and one Santa being, "It's my turn," and then once hearing the place, it's like, "All right, the other guy can take it." I did find that amusing.
I'm not too keen on Harlem, so
Do you have some personal connections?
well, I feel like we made a joke about it once.
I think we did actually. Hmm.
I can't tell if
Yeah.
that was on or off camera.
I don't know either, but we definitely did have a conversation about that. Wow, that tickled my brain. Wow. All right. Sprinks.
Oh boy, I'm out of notes for Act Two.
Wonderful. Writer.
Uh, sure. The conversation between Robbie and Gramps when they're in the car, and they actually address the, will you be able to stay afterwards? No, I've lived a good life. They actually had a very serious scene over like the obvious weight that was now kind of over their relationship. That Gramps was still going to die. It's just been put off a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I like how Robbie did try to loophole it. Like, let's just hide you.
Yeah.
Run away.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie's a kid. It makes perfect sense that he would want to do that. But I also like that now that all this is going on, Gramps has been given more and more time to kind of accept his fate. And I think it's a one of again really really good dialogue scene. Really like it.
Yeah, I
Gave
do like
heart.
how. Sorry, I talked over. What?
It gave heart to
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I do like how the grandpa, and I guess to some degree the priest, are both very complacent in their place. The priest is like, I'm not going to be here much longer. Grandpa even said it during the tree hunting scene that he won't be around to for it. Uh, so I do kind of like the with age comes wisdom type deal and acceptance. Not necessarily wisdom, but acceptance.
Yeah,
And it
there's
was
a
good to parallel that with the innocence of a child.
yeah. I think it's one of the stronger scenes for their relationship, and there's definitely some elements of that going into it as well. The with age comes wisdom.
All right. Are you running out or outrider?
Uh, that was just a big one. Let me keep scrolling down. Parents call the New York City police station where they work. Uh, I do like the captain pretty much buys the story out of question, but buys their story without a question. Bugged me a little bit because they had seen him, and I do like that he questions another officers like, "How did he seem to you?" I think my only problem that comes out of this is there's not really an obvious resolution to this scene.
Yeah, they kind of just show up at the hotel room,
Yeah.
and you don't know if that was with the involvement of the police or not. Probably was, but that would have been a nice connection at least. I agree with that. I guess my last point for Act Two would be the "What does Christmas mean for you?" montage that was happening for the new segment she was trying to create. Just showing all the little aspects. I mean, it's such a simple question, and you don't have to be a grumplepuss about it, but everyone was, which definitely pushed.
Rumplepuss.
Yeah, grumplepuss. Uh, Definitely pushed the contrast of what Papa was describing New York during Christmas. Just feels like New York now.
I quite like the. This kind of ties. It's kind of like my second to last point, but this kind of ties into my last point a little bit. I do like that Gramps, when he's in the hotel, he gets visited by like one of his old contacts, and then he pays him off to tip him, because it's kind of what he's doing. He tipped the Rent a Santa guy, and he's tipping this person too, to try and get trying to get information. He's like, "What's his scam?" And that kind of leads into him realizing that an angel wouldn't really have a scam. So I like that that feeds into each other as far as how the story is going.
Do you guys feel like they did a good job establishing him as a good detective?
Could have been better.
Detective, there's variations on that. I think he's not the best detective we've covered on the podcast. Um, but he comes across as a competent one. He has a lot of old contacts that help him, which helps build the persona a little bit for me.
Yeah, I think they did a good job going to the police station, sending the guy that writer just described, following up on the rent-a-cop uniform. I mean, he's essentially hunting a ghost. There's no background, there's no family ties or friends to hunt down. So I think they did a good job with that. Anything else, writer, before moving on to Act 3?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, Act 3. Uh, End of the priest bit, which we already covered, to the end of the film. And we'll go with Sprinks.
I find it weird that even though they're talking to the police, the parents don't recognize that since they're looking for Papa, they don't recognize his voice on the TV.
They're in deep conversation. I'm fine with that. Until their daughter gets their attention.
True, but the audio is still playing loud enough for them to hear.
They're in deep conversation. That's why I don't have an issue with it.
But it is on their mind.
I see it as possible that they couldn't hear it. Like they're too focused on the conversation. But I can also buy it that they could have heard it through the conversation. So the lame middle of the road response for me.
Yeah. I think I would have more I would be on your side, Springs, if they make it clear that it was louder, I guess.
All right, that's fine. I have it as a nitpick.
Fair enough. I'll talk more about the dad here. They had to dip into and postpone or cancel the Hawaii trip funds for coming here, to the point where he only wants to take them to the museums because they're free now, which tells me they didn't have a lot saved for the vacation trip, because I don't think all they have done so far is a plane trip to New York. And
book a
they're
hotel
in a
room.
hotel room. Well, didn't Papa already have that room?
Well, I assume that it was just going to be Papa and Robbie that went to New York. The entire family wasn't supposed to go, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, they well, actually, I don't know. I don't know about that. Hard to say.
Oh, I thought they made it pretty clear that it's just the two of them.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, I don't know why Dad would say it's canceled then if he's not really involved.
Well, no, that's he's canceling
No, the
he's
New York
canceling
trip
their
from the
trip
beginning.
because he's not letting Grandpa take Robbie because he just had a heart attack.
Yeah, because of the health of Grandpa.
Yeah.
But,
So
I guess going on. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
so the reason that he's complaining about funds is because they had to get a hotel room here, for their whole family.
Yeah, which I mean,
Maybe.
even going to Hawaii, you'd have to get a place to stay.
Yeah,
And I know
but
New
like I
York
said,
prices
those
are different than Hawaii prices, but I don't know. It just seems like there was not a lot of like fun money for the vacation they had planned. It's like a plane and a hotel, and
well,
they tapped out already.
they're dipping into funds that they were trying to save, right? That was the whole point of that conversation.
Yeah, for the Hawaii trip.
Yeah. So they had to dip into those funds. That's why they don't want to do too much because they're still trying to save funds for that trip. So you're right, and there's not a lot of fund money, but that's because they don't plan on spending that fund money here in New York. They had to dip into it in order to get out here.
Guess if they still wanted to go. I kind of got the feeling that he said it was kind of canceled due to this trip, so I felt like this turned into the trip.
Maybe it did, especially once they were asked to stay, because their plan was just to only stay the one night, and then get tickets for everybody back. On that note, I will say something that is somewhat convenient, is that they were all waiting outside of their room. Evidently, is close enough to spot Robbie and Gramps' room. The only fix for this is that they just had access to their room and were waiting for them. But
yeah, I like the idea that they were just standing at the door the whole time, just for a couple hours, because they didn't even enter the room yet. They were just standing at the door.
Well, the mom and sister were in the room, but the dad was waiting outside of it. At least to me, it came across as that they have a different room that just happens to be on the same hallway. So it still works. It's just convenient. But I don't know if that was just my
All
interpretation.
all slightly off. I think it is a separate room. I just went back and looked at the scene. Papa and Robbie are walking down the hallway when they hear the dad's voice and turn, which to me implies that their room or wherever they're heading is more straight down the hallway they're currently walking on and not turning right to go to their room. So I do think it's two separate rooms. The dad isn't actually in the hallway. He steps out of the door frame upon hearing them in the hallway.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
I will label that as even this is just more convenient then.
I think what's more convenient is Papa finding Robbie in the streets of New York.
No, yeah, we're gonna get there. But at least yeah, I find both these situations very convenient.
I don't know. I don't find this one too convenient because they obviously tracked down where they were
Yeah,
at this
I'm
point.
fine with them getting a room in the hotel. It's just lucky it's on the same floor. Lucky within their room happens to be within earshot of their hallway.
Do Papa brings up a lot about people remembering his daughter. I'm curious if this hotel also knows of the daughter, like they know Papa to be like, oh yeah, we can try to get you as close as we can to his room, which is on the same floor, and give the numbers, which is why the dad's waiting for them.
Easy line to
And so-
if you I'd be fine with that. Just need a line for it.
yeah, it's certainly possible because it's been established that she's been here at least in her adult life because she got married with the priest. So it's not like she was just like a child running through New York. She was an adult at some point. So I can buy that. All right, Sprinks.
Sure, I'll go to, I guess, the convenience of us seeing Robbie cross the sidewalk in the taxi. Just kind of shows that on the way to, I guess, shop at Bloomingdale's from the restaurant, they walked faster than the taxi and traffic was to get to that road.
Well, New York legendary, but I don't know if that's. I've never been in New York. I guess to preface it.
Yeah, I don't
I
have the layout of where they started to where they're going to see where the taxi that Papa's in is going.
I have been to New York. I couldn't tell you. It depends on the time of day. It's very chaotic. There's times where you'll be able to just get right through everything, and there are times where you just won't.
And I guess regardless of the speed of walking versus driving, just the convenience of them crossing paths is
Oh yeah,
already
absolutely.
huge.
There's a bit of the fate aspect at play in this film. I don't know if that's enough, however, to excuse the conveniences that take place.
There is fate. I agree with that because the whole you have a higher purpose, not just finding the angel. Because it seems like preordained or destined to happen, and it did end up happening. So it is hard to use that to cover up conveniences. I don't know if I would apply that to this one.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I'd apply it to this one either.
Or the convenience of finding Bog uh, as the street Santa. That was pretty convenient as well. Could have been any street in New York ringing a ringing the bell, but it was right there next to Robbie.
I don't think he was ringing the bell.
No, he was just drinking. But regardless, convenient. He was there, especially having essentially given up on giving Christmas spirit. So I don't really know why he's there.
What spirit do you think touched, I didn't get his name, touched the, I guess, kind of team lead at the news station to put Cindy's story on live?
Well, he asked what options they had, and there was Extend Sports or extend weather. Um, they are not favorable options, and we don't really know him as a character. So I don't know if he just likes Cindy and is like, all right, she always puts out good stuff. I'll trust her because that's possible.
There's an
But
implication
framing
of
it
that.
as spirit, it's
Mm.
yeah. I think it's believable, but I think a bit more backing it would be better.
I think it's a little detrimental to the news station for Cindy going through last year's Christmas stuff of the singing and that not being a backup reel in case something go awry. Where the weather did go awry and it was a live feed of knowledge they did not know.
Potentially, I feel like showing last year's events would suck more than just a longer sports or weather segment.
No, they can do a longer sports or weather segment, but they weren't prepared to do so. Because they like
Yeah,
Cindy was going for a while and they're like, cut, let's go to weather, and weather wasn't prepared. So I think if like both things were a fail, cut to the reel from last year. It's the safest bet for a Christmas Eve news to put out. And I don't think they were well orchestrated to do so, which I
There's
will have as an issue to the news station.
sure. I can agree with that. Because they were fully trusting her to perform, and she came up with nothing. She had to do a live feed last moment.
True, but a live feed
So
of
I can
something she
buy
didn't
it.
pitch.
No, I know
I didn't know
that's
what
what
she
I'm
was doing.
agreeing with is they didn't have a backup to her not providing anything. So yeah, writer
uh
thoughts or moving on.
yeah, I'm gonna add thoughts. I agree with everything you guys have said so far. The I like the obviously the idea that he trusts her enough. I just wish there was some little bit more evidence of that. Um, so like that way I can buy it instead that enough so that I can buy it and it's in his character to even give Cindy the slot without having to worry about backups. He just has trust in her. That would be something. Um, but as it stands, yeah, I view it as it's a problem for an issue for the news station.
So one of the bigger issues I have with this is with Boggs, the angel for 200 years that has given the best Christmas spirit for New York City, suddenly gives up because no one has it. I don't understand. He's the one that provides it, and I don't know why this year is different to any other year of having to lift up spirits. Kind of, I don't understand it really.
It's never explained.
No, his loss of faith is never properly explained, explored, etc. I don't. I like the concept of it. I again, it's just they needed to add a few more details here and there to have it have be. It could have been a degrading thing, like this is the year he gave up because the last 10 years were very difficult.
Sure, I'd
Like
take that over what we have
yeah, like
because
it's
it
just
doesn't imply that it's been harder and harder every year. It's just this year there wasn't any
yeah.
spirit and nothing he did
There's no
changed
parade.
things.
There's no tree. There's yeah. It's just this year specifically was very bad. And it's very hard, I guess, for me to buy that an angel accepted that so easily.
Yeah, and one that can magically provide spirit. I don't know. It's just yeah, I like the idea. I think they need to do a better job explaining why this year was different or a breaking point for him. I don't think they did that. The closest thing is he got drunk because of a bet and he lost his way. That's I think the best faith I have for it, and I don't think
And they
that's enough.
kind of imply that when he's drunk, he can't use his powers.
Um, is there a scene where he tries and it doesn't work?
No, but he states it in the conversation with the like doctor or psychologist or whatever when she brings up like why do you think you're an angel, all that, and he says and he started drinking, he's never done it before, and he doesn't know if he can do his powers, like he doesn't know if they're gone, which kind of told
Yeah.
to me came across like when he did that he was unable to use them.
That's possible. I wish they made that more of a concrete rule then, and not just a theory, like him actually trying and it not working.
I guess that would help.
Because I think that would be better. Like him being drunk prevents him from using his powers. Him not using powers just sends New York down the apathy train.
Yeah,
But
and then
like we said earlier, oh, go ahead.
as the rent a Santa drinking the whole time to the diner, and they're saying we got to get coffee and you sober you up kind of thing, but he doesn't really take the coffee, so I don't see him like using his powers either in the diner.
Yeah, no, it's lacking unfortunately, and it's kind of a big part of the film. It's why there's no Christmas spirit.
Yeah, again, I just agree with everything you guys have said.
Sprinks.
Did either of you want a more concrete conclusion to the stuff involving heaven?
Like a scene of him arriving and them
Like,
thanking him and
yeah,
stuff.
either Papa going back after dying in the carriage, or Wiley Boggs returning and being like reprimanded or something for why he went AWOL. Or
I feel part of me is like, yeah, I want more. The other part of me feels like it would break the pacing. I do like the ending of him just being dead when it started snowing, and then cutting to the narration of Papa was the greatest man who lived. It's a little quick, but I think the alternative would be a little too long.
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing in my head right now. There's stuff that I want, but nothing's needed without, because what I would want would change how the film plays out a little bit, uh, or at least the feeling that the end of the film was supposed to give you. So I think having Robbie and uh, you know having witnessed his grandfather's final moments, I think that's a better way to just leave off on. So I guess I would lean away from wanting anything else to do with heaven.
I think this is the ending I would want. I would like to see a deleted scene of that so I could see how it played out, though. And what would you want out of it, Springs? Since you brought it up.
I think more of the archangel who is kind of very stern about the situation having a talk with Wiley. I think, or just Wiley going back of being like an angel conversation. I don't think I necessarily need Papa though being up there and like looking down or looking over him or something, or if like they're just like you'll be the next thing, because this is where I got like the Jack Frost kind of feel situation, that it's like, okay, being that way Wiley failed and Papa was like the hero of it and being the new kind of like angel of joy and spreading cheer and whatnot of the spirit, that it'd be like, okay, from every year here on out now it'll be you to do it. And that would kind of be like, then he could visit Robbie every year. That's why the beginning of the movie where Robbie's like, I got a crazy story to tell you, something so crazy. The whole movie kind of comes across as like, oh yeah, my grandpa died, came back, and then died again. Like that's the story. Versus my grandpa, I see him every year, but no one believes me, kind of thing.
Yeah, they definitely didn't go that approach, which, I mean, I would welcome that if every Christmas he gets to see his grandpa as an angel in New York or something. But I think that would also lessen the impact of him dying because he's not really dead to him at that point. It's just a yearly visit thing.
Well, I believe this was one of your gripes for Claus. We haven't covered it on the podcast, but
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting they brought up Claus. Uh, Visual side joke. Uh, the and they do bring up Boggs in the end narration of like visiting a funeral, which implies that he's in New York more than just during Christmas. Because I don't think the funeral took
he's
the
just
whole year to happen.
in his mortal being at all times. Or maybe
I
he was
guess
shunned as an angel.
And that's something I would like to dive into is he in New York year round to build up spirit for Christmas? Or is he no longer an angel for Christmas and you can just do
I
I
think the
don't
longer?
I think
I
the
don't
arc
think he's an angel I don't think he's in New York year round because the stern angel said they sent him down.
he goes down every year, is what he says.
Yeah, so he was up in heaven at points.
And that's what makes it weird to me is why is he at the funeral when he can just talk to him in heaven?
Maybe he's no longer an angel anymore.
So you can just
He
walk around
took a sin.
as a living person down there?
Maybe he's banished from heaven.
Maybe. I don't know. That's something they needed to explain more. Actually, I would have just preferred him not have been mentioned at the funeral altogether. I think that brings up too many problems and or questions. Because it is implied he's a yearly angel. He shows up for Christmas, does his thing, goes back, comes back next year. But now
It
it's
wouldn't have
after Christmas.
well, even if it was just like December, the funeral's not going to be within a week to be done, and it's not going to be held for a year.
Yeah. So I would remove it as it is now. All right, writer.
I really like the dialogue from Wiley Boggs when he describes joy as an infection.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it's contagious.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bits of dialogue. I don't really have much commentary on it. I think it resonates with me because I've heard a lot of variations there upon it. So it's just another good way to express how joy works.
Just a simple smile can be enough. In some cases. There's some angry people out there, and a smile will not do.
Apparently not for these New Yorkers when Gramps and Robbie try to just go out and start caroling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone comes immediately to my mind.
Oh, really?
Sorry, audience, not Sharon.
Yeah, not pushing it. I guess the elf parallel that Sprinks pointed out earlier. I like the speech that Papa gave. My negative to it is the audience or the crowd response. They were dead. They weren't really reacting to anything he was being said. He starts singing, then everybody starts singing. I wish we saw the crowd start to turn and like smile more or something,
Or
but they're not
cuts to
even.
the people.
Yeah, they're not even moving. They're just standing there. No spirits getting hyped.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some more crowd reaction.
Because Papa was getting more and more passionate, yelling louder and louder the longer he went, and the crowd didn't raise with his voice, which is usually what you'd want to see in a speech. Um, General, you.
Good or ill.
Yes. All right, Sprinks.
Funny enough, I think I'm out. Everything I have left we've already touched on.
All right. The death of Papa, we kind of touched on it with the hypothetical extension of the ending, but as it is, I quite enjoy it. It's a bittersweet ending, because he's gone, but he did get his extra time here, and Robbie appreciated it. He didn't quite smile, but he wasn't sad about it. He was complacent. He was accepting of it, and I think that really adds to not necessarily the message of the film, but well, maybe it is the message of the film.
It's definitely one of the
Acceptance
themes of the
to
film.
something. Yeah, maybe theme. Arg. And it being on the horse-drawn carriage that the grandpa brought up 2 or 3 times at least throughout the film. It's just a good send-off for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the things that kind of undercut the emotion for me is just the sister blatantly asking, "Are we still gonna put Papa in a home?" That kind of undercuts the feelings for me. I get why it's there because it has to be brought up because they made that the central antagonistic issue, so they need to kind of wrap it up. But for me, it still undercuts some of the feelings of the ending. Um,
I can see that. I mean, yeah, they did have to tie that knot
they had to tie the knot.
at least at the
I
end.
hurt my subjective a little bit, I think, or it could tie into pacing, I guess. But like if they, like I said, I think they could have had the dad still be an antagonist for the film without necessarily needing to go that far. Because it kind of it was just a little too much, I think. To But again, you're right. It just needed to be there to wrap it up. That's why it felt like an obligation.
Yeah.
Um, I do like, however, uh, kind of feeding a little bit before that the when they're all together again, having finished the first few carols and everyone's going off to sing, and the families reunite, and the family reunites. I do like there's a brief pause before the father and Gramps shake hands. But again, they let it wash away because they're trying to let the holiday spirit overrun them.
Yeah, I think they do a decent job of swaying the father to being okay with Papa after everything. It might be a bit much of a 180. Actually, I'll defer to you guys on it. Do you think the turn is believable?
I think there are steps missing with the dad. I can buy it, but I feel like there's just he's not as well fleshed out as an antagonist. So I feel like I'm missing bits that would have allowed me to be more because the turn is what I want. I think that's the end. That's the also that happens to be the goal of what's they're trying to do. But it feels like it's a missing steps, and so that's kind of what makes the 180. It's not that the 180 is unbelievable. It's just that incongruently.
All right, and Springs, your thoughts on that?
I think it is too fast on the father to do that. I get that it's Christmas Eve and Papa just gave a whole speech inspired, but still, how fueled he was flying out to New York rather than waiting and to apprehend Papa and Robbie and involved and all of this and kind of telling the mom, we'll put him in a retirement home when we get back, just like very much like this, and because of one instance on Christmas Eve, which is the Christmas spirit thing touching him, and he's like, "Yeah, no, it'll be fine," rather than like think about it now or give me time when we get home, or maybe I was too cruel, like just a different line than just saying no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, so like I like the line, like there I know I couldn't do that, but I feel like that needs more setup. So give him a little bit more nuance. So he's not a full-on antagonist for most of the film, you know?
That's why I say it's got to be a different line, because that then
With
it's too harsh of a 180.
Yeah, with what we have unchanged, I think a line lessening his turn, being like, yeah, I'll consider it more, uh, opposed to being absolutely on board. Keep the line, then yeah, I think more would have to be done before that line to sell it. All right, Sprinks, you're out, right?
Yes.
All right, Ryder, how are you looking?
Yeah, one of the last few points I had, I really enjoyed when trying to convince the dad to let him do the last carriage ride. He says, "I'll be good," and it's just a reference to the Christmas theme, the religious theme, and it's just a nice little bit of humor because he's been quote unquote naughty this entire time. I think it works, and that yeah, I think that was really good.
Yeah, I think it does a good job rounding off a lot of things in such a few amount of words. Acknowledging the father. I mean, he acknowledged the family the whole time, but doing it now, I think it has a bit more impact with all the events that happened, revolving around the dad's acceptance, anyways.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess my final point will just be of everybody reconvening at the speech location. You got the family who was transported by the cops, which I think works well. They were already there, makes sense. And they were looking for a missing kid. And then you have the patrons at the bar with Boggs. That one stands out to me as a bit off. I don't know if it's Boggs convincing them to drive him or walk him there, but the patrons just seem too invested in this situation. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Maybe he convinced them to go because they were also enthralled with the speech. So maybe it claims like it could have been like, oh, we should all just go there right now. There is that
Anything,
angle.
Spring?
You mean with the police presence?
No, the police was with the family. The patrons, like the little guy with Boggs, and then the other guy that was at the bar, like the three of them, they all went from the bar to then the speech.
Yeah. I'm confused on what your question is then.
How they feel off compared to everything else to me.
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It's fine to me. All I have is that bar is relatively close to the speech.
Yeah, it probably would have to be.
Yeah. I don't know if it's stereotyping onto New York police officers in this depiction of the film that they're there for like a missing persons case and they see him on the TV, so that's why their police presence isn't needed for the family to find him later. Like the cops aren't there. They pull up in a cop car and then they get out of it. That's about it. The cops kind of just like leave. I thought that's kind of what you were going with, but
No, but I can see that they didn't stay to make sure everything's okay. That it was
yeah, there was no
a good kidnapping, not a bad
follow-up case statement situation, you know.
Yeah, I
Like
suppose,
the
but
police don't
definitely
even
would have.
have confirmation that the grandpa was still there by the time they drop him off. Like the cops don't escort them.
Yeah, that's true. No disagreement there. All right. Well, I am out. Ryder, was that your last point?
Uh, kind of. My one of my last ones is I guess I like the acknowledgement from Cindy, both on the broadcast, but also when they're going through the like the she goes over to thank them, and that's pretty much the only interaction they have. It's could be perceived as unsatisfying, but I actually quite like it because they're still total strangers to each other. So it's just a very, very simple, like, um, you did this thing kind of thing, and thank you very much. It's a miracle that all this has happened, and that's pretty much where they leave it. And obviously, Cindy goes off to have her life. So we don't get really much of a conclusion with her character, but she was a secondary character anyway. Um, but I still like how she still went over to thank Grandpa and talk to him and stuff like that, which I think was very nice.
Springs, do you
That's me.
think they did a good job integrating her storyline through the film?
No,
No. What would
felt
you want
too
more out
too
of it?
separate. It felt like a big V. Like there was one cross point. I think it would have been better if it was far more parallel or overcrossing. Like their events were affecting the other events, kind of thing, but not like in tandem where they saw each other. I think then both stories would have fit better because it does feel like two completely different tales being told for the Christmas season and everything until that final point.
Like if she tried to investigate the tales of someone claiming to be an angel or something.
That could work. Or all the hijinks of them doing their detective work is causing other mishap consequences of stories in the background for Cindy to be like close to the tail of a story that is the consequences of the actions that Papa's doing, but she thinks they're all separate cases when actually they're all consistent of one from what we've seen of what Papa's doing. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
on one
know if
hand, I like that. On the other, it kind of detracts from her hunting for Christmas and less hunting this story.
yeah, she's not an investigative reporter. If she were an investigative reporter, I think that would work better. But as it stands, I think I prefer them having different stories. My issue is that I would point to that comes up a lot is just the convenience of them just ending up very, very like nearly missing each other constantly. Because it happens more than once. It happens obviously with the pies at the beginning, and it also happens again at the cafe.
Diner.
So, yeah, so like I think there's those conveniences are kind of an issue for me. The diner one I'll buy into a little bit more, but like she didn't need to be in the scene with the pies, I think. I think it's the conveniences that bugged me the most about it, because otherwise I think I prefer them having separate stories.
So the convenience that they're just close in New York.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a big
Pretty
city.
big city.
I was just confused on what the convenience meant. But, okay.
Because I think
Just that
her
they're
I think her
after
hunting Christmas
hunting, I guess.
stories. Sorry.
No, good.
I think her hunting Christmas stories is much more relevant to what this film's message is trying to be than her trying to string together an investigation. But again, like I said, I don't dislike the idea. I think she would need to be an investigative reporter one, and it would change. I think it would have to augment some of the messaging of the story. It would be a different character, pretty much, from Cindy.
I agree to that. It would be a change of her character.
All right, or anything else, or is that it?
Um, thinking right now. Uh, yes, I believe that's it for me.
Alrighty. Well, that was It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. We are now jumping into our rating summary section, starting with Sprinks.
Oh boy. Am I surprised? No. I'm gonna start with my objective. Audience, this is if you've heard or seen our coverage of The Lost World, I had a bit to say on the presentation of what it is we watched for that, and I kind of have the same thing going for this film here, just to put it out there. So I watched this film, being it was made for TV, so the TV version I think is the only version of this film that exists. But I also saw it in the quality of 480p. So not HD, not 4K. So that weighs a bit on the presentation of the film to me. One such thing being transitional pieces for a TV movie is the cheesiness of it, where the cut to commercial break of fade to black throughout the film is on the ending of scenes that in a film that is then a theatrical film that is put to TV is chosen to find cuts where commercial breaks do get interlaid, either in between scenes. This is filmed in ways where it's acted upon that the end of the scene is to drag into that commercial break. So just more of the sense of the film being created to come across that it's designed that way. If those commercial breaks were taken out for a theatrical piece, I think those cuts could be seen and would feel off. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. The acting, I think, is overall just okay. Even Mickey Rooney in this movie, I think, is just okay. I do think he's a good actor, but just for the presentation of this film, I think everyone just does okay. There are some not great acting pieces. There's the mom in the house, which Crimson brought up. I think the Rent to Santa guys aren't really acting. I think some of the police aren't exactly acting. They're just kind of reading. It felt like a lot of the side characters are just reading lines. Let's see. The wardrobe I think is fine. Everyone's costuming is totally fine. The lighting is fine. A lot of natural lighting. The writing for the story I think is fine. Again, I do like kind of the situation of the happy medium of religious aspect of Christmas with this story. That it's not heavily handed to be a biblical sense of angels and everything, but also not just fully the times have changed corporate America, New York of what Christmas looks now kind of thing. So a blend of the two is good. Uh, Cindy's story and Papa's story, I feel like maybe Cindy's could have had more prior to them arriving to New York, uh, while like all the California, because it really feels like it's the secondary story that isn't heavy until a point. I think it kind of plays a little more into the slight MacGuffin of a lot of um, the cameraman to be present for Papa to get his objective of spreading the cheer that Wiley isn't doing, kind of thing. It kind of comes across that way, but Cindy's story is still good. The cinematography is very middle of the road to me, just kind of whatever. I can't think of in this film my favorite shot, and I can't think of what my least favorite shot would be. It just seems mundane, unfortunately. I always forget something, but my objective right now is a 6. I think it's just a little better than the middle for me. I would have wanted to see better, but I can also see how this film could be a lot worse. Subjectively, this movie has heart to it, of the connection between Robbie and Papa, and I do like that. From the conversations they have in the taxi ride and multiple taxi rides, and then the interaction with the family and how they still get along, or how Robbie talks about his grandpa to either Scotty, his mom, I guess the interview, whoever that's being talked to. So the connection of the two of them is very nice, even though Robbie's only 9 and I don't know his earliest memory of his grandpa, so probably maybe only 5 years, if that. So that's very interesting. That's his best friend over Scotty. Sorry, Scotty, which is a little funny. This movie does have some humorous bits, but some of it I think is too silly for the tone of a scene. Such as like looking up in heaven, referring to God, I think is a little too much. I think the complete tonal jump to the crazy Superman patient is a bit of a tonal jump. So stuff like that. But I do like this movie. It's better than some other Christmas movies. I give it a 7.
Alrighty, I shall go next, and I'll go with my subjective and piggyback off of the statement Sprinks made. And this movie has heart. I feel it. It feels like a Christmas movie. There's a lot of Christmas movies that tote the Christmas spirit as like a message, and I think this is one of the best. This just feels like there's Christmas spirit in there. I enjoy the characters. The comedy is okay. I mean, there's nothing laugh out loud to me or really chuckle. It's fine comedy. The pre-scene does drag a little for me, so that's kind of the slow point of the film. But everything else is totally adequate. And yeah, it's a nice little film with some nostalgia attached to it. I'm also at a 7. Objectively, we made some points that needed era backing, like procedures with the police, with the taxi, or the paramedics calling the house, the what was it, house doctor? I already forgot what the title is. Before the police arrives, do the police arrive for just a heart attack? All that stuff that could be dated, so I don't want to apply those because it might not be fair to the film. I think the visual effects most of it's his death and in heaven, I think look good for the time. I think the execution of him walking up the stairs from the front POV is not good. I don't know why they couldn't get him walking upstairs. They just had him walk in place. Doesn't look good. Sprinks brought up the ghost projection um, sitting up through the bed and not at the edge of the bed. I think that was how it was worded, and I'm going to go with it. I didn't go back and check it, but Springs is pretty observant, so I'll go with it. I think all the characters are consistent. The father being the most extreme of that of the 180. I think we need to soften the language at the end of course not. Why would I? Or, he doesn't say that. Something like that. Says something more softer. Um, and one of my bigger issues being of I keep forgetting the name Boggs. Uh, Boggs, I think, is the biggest issue with this, and that's his turn to giving up on Holiday Spirit. It could be the alcohol took away his powers and then he just spiraled. It could be this was just a harsh year. Each year could be harder, and this was just the last year he could take it. None of that is concretely defined, which I think it kind of needs to, since that's the whole point of the film is the Christmas spirit's dead in New York. The fact that he stayed after Christmas to the funeral, I think, is an inconsistency with the concept of him arriving every Christmas, or every December, I guess, for Christmas spirit. So I think he has the biggest issues. And I guess there's the convenience of him arriving in front of Robbie, I suppose, on the street. Minor thing. I think the relationship between Papa and Robbie is the strongest part of the film. I can buy it as a grandpa grandson relationship, and a really strong one at that. And I think they handle the subject of death very well in this, and spirit in general. As Sprink said, I think the cameras are basic TV cameras. There's not a lot of movement. I think the most unique shot would be when Robbie starts chasing after, like, going into the house after seeing the ambulance. It gets the shaky handheld. That's about it, and that's pretty basic for that kind of scene. Lighting's whatever. Acting, I think, is fine. Mom being the outlier. Now I'm just retreading. I have this at a 6.5 objective. Ryder, you're up.
Let's see. I'll do my objective first. I think the plot is an interesting one. The concept of being kind of sent on a mission from God, more or less, to find a missing angel in New York is, at its core, a very, very basic plot. But again, it's what the relationships around that really kind of make that worthwhile. So, for example, it's been mentioned to death now, but the relationship between Robbie and Gramps or Papa, but is a really, really strong relationship. They took their time and effort, and every scene that relationship comes through, which is important because that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the centerpiece of the film. That's where all the heart is. I think the Cindy's story in terms of plot is also good. Again, I think it's more in line for what the film is trying to go for in terms of its themes. I do think there's some conveniences. There's conveniences plenty in the plot. I think just characters being near each other for one reason or another, or characters in the case of Gramps, just again following Robbie down the street. That's been mentioned. I think there's a bit of that might tie into characters a little bit. Never mind. So I think the plot's pretty decent. I think it's definitely got some nicks and it's got some problems, but it's not bad. I think one of the things described it. It's like I recognize they're using they're using tools to push the plot along. but those tools don't fit perfectly into what they're trying to accomplish. So it feels a little bit incongruent with some of the things. World building, in terms of the history with Gramps' character, Papa, I think it works. Makes sense. He has all these connections. It helps build up his backstory as well, being a competent detective. I think there are questions obviously surrounding LetterBoxd. I'm not going to reiterate them. The extent of his powers. Does he truly just like go around and use his powers to raise people's spirits? And that's kind of how he brings the Christmas spirit to New York? Or is it just like it didn't work this time because he was given alcohol because it didn't work? So there's levels that I'm not sure what we're playing with. That being said, I think the intertwining the religion aspect with the Christmas spirit aspect kind of works for the world building. I think it, and obviously it helps to push a particular narrative for the plot. Characters, it's been said there's nothing really inconsistent. There's a few conveniences attached to them. I do think there's definitely some artificial drama with regards to the dad. Some of the drama feels too far, and even if accepting that this is the level he's operating that then ruins the 180 at the end. So those two pieces are incongruent with each other, and that's very important because he's serving a heavy antagonistic role for most of the film. I think there's a level of subtlety that needed to be made less subtle. That would help again facilitate the relationship between Gramps and the dad a little bit more, because it seems like Crimson brought it up earlier in the film that there's the interesting dynamic at play where the dad might be jealous of how close Gramps is with Robbie. And I think that playing with that a little bit more might have helped in with the dad's story a little bit. But again, outside of that, no major inconsistencies are really there. I'm bouncing between a 6.5 and a 7.5. I might settle on 7 objectively for now. But it is a kind of getting into my subjective a little now. I would see this film again, so that might be changed based on how that might change later down the line. Upon rewatches potentially. I think so. Onto my subjective. I think this film hit me in a special place. Particularly, I lost my grandfather this year, so a little close to home. As tragic as that is, I like the character dynamics. I like the family aspect, despite its problems. I like the theme behind this. I think it goes a little over the top for me at the end, but I still very much appreciate what's going on. So I'm at a subjective 7.5.
Oh, we're all relatively close.
Yeah.
Anything else before a writer takes us out?
Not that I can think of. There's the beginning of season 28.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? 28?
Yeah. Another Christmas season coming at you. I got nothing, so I'm ready to read us out. Thank you for audience for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, and Samsung. And if you're busy on our visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble, thank you for watching our PNG slideshow there. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.